Welcome to the Human 5 Project, the podcast where we cut straight to the breakthroughs that matter, the show where science meets self-optimization. I'm your host, Ultimate Biohacker 10X, and here we break down the real research, real data, and real dosing behind modern biohacking, from compounds and peptides to techniques, devices, lifestyle strategies, and performance protocols. Most people jump in and jump out before they get the gold, so we're keeping it tight and delivering the essential insights you need without the fluff. If you've taken the time to hit play, we'll make sure you walk away with valuable knowledge that can transform your approach to longevity, health optimization, and beyond.
Imagine your breakfast isn't just fuel, it's precision engineered for your DNA, your gut bugs, your sleep debt, and your stress load. In 2026, that's not sci-fi, that's the edge. But here's the real question. Is this a signal we can use? Or is it just noise we want to believe? Hey team, welcome back to the Human 5.0 Project. This is Ultimate Biohacker 10X, and today we are going to break down biohacking and personalized nutrition the right way. Not as a diet identity, not as a gadget flex, as a feedback system. Quick disclaimer, this is educational only, not medical advice. If you've got medical conditions, take meds, you're pregnant, have a history of disordered eating, or you're thinking about advanced stuff like peptides, talk to a licensed clinician. Also, if you're listening from somewhere hot and humid like sunny Fort Lauderdale, remember hydration isn't a vibe, it's physiology. Here's our mission today. Define biohacking and personalized nutrition without hype. Explain why Diet X works for your friend and fails for you. Walk through the 2026 Toolkit, Wearables, CGMs, Microbiome test, Genomics, AI meal scoring. Separate signal from noise, especially around supplements, peptides, and longevity hacks. And give you a Monday morning start plan that doesn't cost $1,000. Now today's Friday, so we got a few days to work this out. Okay? Let's lock in. Let me paint the real world. One person says keto saved their life. Another says vegan saved their life. They're both loud. They're both convinced. And here's the truth. They're both right. And they're both wrong. Because they're talking about them. They're not talking about you. We were raised on the one-size-fits-all lie. Food pyramid, calorie counting, generic macros, just eat less, move more. But the future is brutally simple. You are not average, and that's not motivational poster energy. That's biology. Back in 1956, a scientist named Roger Williams coined the concept of biochemical individuality, the idea that people have fundamentally different nutrient needs and metabolic responses. Now, 70 years later, the tech caught up. And the question isn't, what's the best diet? The question is, what's the best input for your system, given your outputs? Let's define the space. Biohacking, real biohacking, isn't taking 40 pills or injecting mystery peptides. Biohacking is this, using science, tech, and lifestyle to optimize body and mind by measuring signals, then making small controlled changes, and personalized nutrition is the food version of that. Personalized nutrition means you stop treating food as a religion and start treating food as data. Food as signaling molecules, food as inflammation modulator, food as recovery lever, food as sleep disruptor or sleep stabilizer. Think about this. Didn't that just sound like what a drug can do to the body? Food really is a drug. Personalized nutrition exists on a spectrum. On a basic level, I feel better when I eat protein at breakfast. Slightly more advanced, wearables and labs guide timing and composition. And truly advanced, genomics, microbiome testing, CGMs, and AI models, which help predict responses. But here's the punchline. The basics still run the world. Sleep, movement, stress regulation, whole foods. The 2026 trend is not more hacks. It's the backlash. Boring wellness, done consistently, wins the race every time. So before we talk tech, we got to talk biology. Let's break down the 4 systems that make personalized nutrition real. Metabolism and metabolic flexibility. Metabolic flexibility is your ability to shift between burning carbs and burning fat efficiently. Some people run like a Tesla. Others run like a 1998 Ford Explorer with 3 warning lights on. When flexibility is low, you get the classic pattern. Big carb meal leads to a spike, leads to a crash, leads to cravings, and repeat. And when flexibility improves, energy becomes stable, and the appetite becomes quieter. You've heard the word food noise. Next, the gut microbiome. Your gut bacteria aren't passengers, they're chemical factories. They influence digestion, inflammation, cravings, and even insulin sensitivity. That's why 2 people can eat the same healthy salad. One feels amazing, the other gets bloated like a balloon and crashes. Genomics and nutrigenomics. Your genes influence how you process nutrients, caffeine, fats, and methylation pathways. Example, variants like the MTHFR can influence folate processing. Other genes influence lipid metabolism or appetite regulation. But hear me clearly, genes aren't destiny, they're tendencies. Expression is optional, and lifestyle is the switchboard. How about brain and body links? Nutrition, it's cognition fuel. Choline, omega-3s, minerals, protein, these aren't fitness nutrients. They're nervous system nutrients. And you can't out-hack a dysregulated nervous system. Now, 2026 is where this gets a little spicy. We have AI, wearables, biomarkers, and they can now integrate all of these systems into one feedback loop. But tools can also become a trap. So, toolkit time. Let's do this like a buyer's guide, but without selling you anything. All right. So, tool layer number 1, free and high signal. A 7 to 14 day food and symptom log, sleep consistency, steps in basic movement, 1 meal structure rule, protein first. Because if you can't do the basics, you don't need advanced data. You need consistency, and you definitely need that first. Tool layer 2, wearables. And these are useful if you don't get obsessed. Devices like sleep and recovery trackers can give real insights. Sleep duration, wake-ups, resting heart rate, and HRV. But don't worship your HRV. Use it like a weather report. Directional, not divine. Here's the play. If recovery is tanked, don't stack high sugar and stress and late caffeine. That's where wearables actually help with timing decisions. Tool layer 3, CGMs, the revolution. Continuous glucose monitors are the biggest upgrade since the step counter because they reveal a brutal truth. Some healthy foods spike you like candy. Here's the classic story. 2 people eat rice cakes. One is fine, the other spikes, crashes and gets hungry, and thinks they have no discipline. That's not discipline, that's glucose physiology. And the CGM doesn't tell you never eat carbs. It tells you how you tolerate carbs and what combos stabilize you. I personally can tell that when I put on a CGM, rice spiked me right up, well over 150. It dropped, but it was one that I was incredibly sensitive to, so I just avoid rice for the most part. Pro move, pair your carbs with protein, fiber, or fat, or place carbs around training. Tool layer number 4, blood work platforms. At-home labs are more accessible now. Thank God for that. But the principle remains. If data doesn't change decisions, it's entertainment. Common actionable markers? Glucose, A1C, lipids, inflammation markers, iron status, vitamin D, thyroid markers if relevant, homocysteine levels. But don't become a lab goblin. Pick what affects your behavior. Tool layer 5, microbiome testing. This is where the hype lives. Microbiome tests can be interesting, but they're not always directly actionable. What is actionable? Your fiber tolerance and food response. Some people thrive on high fiber. Some need a ramp, slow and steady. And some need trigger identification first. Tool layer 6, AI nutrition apps. Now, AI can help generate meal plans and predict responses, but you need transparency and feedback. If an app gives you a score but you don't know why, that's not personalized nutrition, that's astrology with a UI. Use AI as a coach, not an authority. Now, let's talk about the spicy category, supplements, nootropics, and peptides. Here's the hierarchy. Foundation, then nutrition, then precision tools, then advanced interventions. If the foundation is broken, advanced interventions become expensive coping. All right, chrononutrition, because timing matters. For many people, insulin sensitivity and digestion are better earlier in the day. Late night eating often steals sleep quality. A simple rule that works for most: stop eating 3 hours before bed, not because it's trendy, but because your body can't sleep deeply when it's processing a feast. The protein leverage truth: protein is the most reliable appetite stabilizer. If you're under-proteined, your brain will keep hunting calories until you hit the target. Protein first is the simplest personalization hack on earth. Supplements. Signal versus expensive urine. Supplements can help when they are correcting a gap or supporting an objective. But if you're stacking 19 supplements and you're still tired, the problem isn't more supplements. The problem most likely is foundation. Nootropics and caffeine timing. Caffeine can be a tool or it can be a sleep sabotage. And we've talked about this before. Caffeine cutoff is a performance hack, not a moral rule. All right, let's look at the 2026 hype zone, peptides. We know they're exploding in popularity for recovery, body comp, and longevity, and performance for that matter. Here's my position. Peptides are not a beginner tool. They require medical oversight, legitimate sourcing, risk assessment, and a clear goal. If your sleep is trash, your diet is chaos, peptides are not the move. That's like putting racing tires on a car with no engine oil. I treat these things like rungs on a ladder. We start off with sleep optimization, diet, and resistance training, and then we move to wearables and tracking and labs, and then we get into peptides and the other stuff. Now, before we give you practical protocols, we have to talk about where this really gets weird. This is the part of the episode where we protect your health and your wallet. The extremes: carnivore versus fruitarian, lion diet versus raw vegan. Extremes, well, they can create short-term relief, especially by removing triggers. But long-term, extremes can create blind spots. The goal is not ideological purity. The goal is metabolic health, performance, and sustainability. Extreme fasting? Sure, fasting can be useful, but extreme fasting can backfire, especially with hormones, sleep, training recovery, and stress load. If fasting makes you feel calm, clear, and stable, cool. If it makes you wired, anxious, and sleep deprived, that's not discipline, that's a stress response. How about data overload? The wearables trap is real. If every meal becomes a lab experiment, you don't have health, you've got surveillance. This can spiral into orthorexia, the obsession with perfect eating. Guardrail: track in seasons, but not forever. Ethical line: just because you can measure something doesn't mean you should measure it. Biohacking without biology is just pushing through exhaustion with better branding. Now, let's get practical. The minimum viable personalized nutrition system. We're going to tag that now. Here's how you start tomorrow without spending $1,000. Step 1, choose your outcome. Pick a primary goal: stable energy, fat loss, gut calm, performance and recovery, brain focus, better sleep. They're all good ones, and eventually you're going to address them all. But for now, don't pick 6 goals, just pick one. That's how experiments work. So you'll establish a baseline. For 7 days, don't change anything dramatic. Just track sleep time and quality, first meal time, caffeine timing, energy peaks and crashes, cravings, GI symptoms, and training days. This is your before picture. Next step, run one of these protocols. Protocol A, 14-day stability reset. Whole foods, 90%. Protein at every meal. Fiber ramp slowly, no liquid sugar. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. And morning light exposure within 30 minutes of waking. Your goal: stable energy, stable appetite, and better sleep. Protocol B, carb placement experiment. Keep your carbs, but place them either post-workout or at dinner. Track sleep, hunger, performance, and cravings. Protocol C, trigger hunt. Remove alcohol and ultra-processed snacks and one suspected trigger. Then reintroduce cleanly. The reintroduction is where you learn. Step 4, decide if tools are even needed. After 2 weeks, ask, did I improve? If yes, keep going. If no, consider one tool. CGM for glucose patterns, basic labs for deficiencies or metabolic markers, and professional support if symptoms are persistent. Remember, tools should follow clarity. Tools should never replace clarity. Here's the truth. Personalized nutrition is not a diet, it's a feedback system. 2026 is the era where AI, genomics, and wearables can help, but the winners will be the people who don't chase hacks. They build foundations and run clean experiments. Your body is not a machine you dominate, it's a system that you learn. Here's a final thought. The goal is not to live forever. The goal is to live fully. You've heard the word health span. To live fully with high energy until the end. The data is just the map. You still have to walk the path. So what's your number one goal right now? Is it energy, gut, fat loss, performance, or sleep? Drop it in the comments. And comment signal if you want a free starter checklist for the 14-day stability reset and decision tree. Stay strong, stay consistent, stay skeptical but curious. And this is Ultimate Biohacker 10X. I'm out. Thanks for listening to the Human 5.0 Project.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready to elevate their biology. Make sure to follow the show for weekly deep dives into peptides, protocols, devices, lifestyle strategies, and the science of high-performance longevity. Until next time, stay curious, stay optimized, and stay 10X.